Occasionally, in certain atmospheric conditions, it was the first thing to reveal itself in the sky at the end of night, but in the winter, the earliest sign of dawn was the light going on in the newsagent window. Then lamps, coal fires, gas fires burning in the windows of all the houses until the blackness evaporated, as if it were dark vapour. These moments by the curtains, smoking her first cigarette of the day, holding a mug of tea in her hand, poured from her Clarice Cliff teapot, still dressed in her green rayon kimono, flapping sleeves, trailing hem, her feet bare and frozen, were those in which she felt most like herself. The girl leaving the village to get married and live by the sea in Brighton. But my God, she was entirely middle-aged now, 34, though not inside. Inside, no more than 22. The bed was dishevelled. The ashtray was full of smoking stubs, hers tipped red. These traces of Bob, the cigarette ends, the soiled sheets, the toilet seat left up. His sputum in a teacup fell to her to tidy away. She did not mind. He had walked back up the hill in the dark. He was only strong enough to manage all the different, difficult elements of the assignation once a fortnight. She had no idea whether or not he would ever get well. She kept a notebook with the details of his condition. Now Bob would be sitting up, taking his temperature. He would not go down to breakfast. He would rest for days, recovering, while she was taking the sheets off the bed, was making toast, was washing her face, brushing her teeth, dressing, combing her long, soft hair, applying her lipstick and her eye black, and leaving the house with her art materials under her arm. She'd had a little idea of something her pupils could do with clay, which would not involve a wheel. They could shape a map of Britannia, and they would decorate it with flowers, plants, trees, thistles. They could call it the Garden of England, which Kent was. It was very nice and easy, not at all strenuous. The little Britons would be baked in the kiln, painted, fired. Yes, that is what she would do. She would ask to order in the clay. The day was clearer than the one before. She walked up the hill and had her weekly meeting with Matron. There was a new intake, 2 new arrivals yesterday. Was she to sign them up? But Matron said not yet. The girl was out on the veranda, and the boy was going to have a treatment. She remembered the arrival of the German architect. German! An actual Hun! A few months after the death of Gwendolen Downey, the sensation he had caused in the village in 1937. The meeting in the village hall when he announced the plans for what they still called the isolation hospital. 4 tied cottages would be cleared from the hillside and replaced by modern ones in the village. Her family was one of those to be rehoused. There was a sense that the place was to be a shrine to the dead girl. In the planned ornamental gardens, with a pansy clock in springtime, a marble obelisk was to rise in her memory. The wording was already being carved by the country's best stonemason in Canterbury. Where once healthy children, Lettice herself had played in the fresh air, a morbid sight was to arise. Quite apart from the eviction from the cottages, the place was talked of at once as a leper colony. A large contingent of sick people desperate for a cure, some terminally ill, would arrive, and there was no question that the disease was contagious. Coughs and sneezes spread it. Their home would be a plague village. Lettice went to the meeting with her mother. The young German had his plans pinned to a screen, and pointed at them with what looked like a conductor's baton. The Downeys were sitting at a long table, smiling encouragement up at him. 4 wings, he said, jabbing his pointer. She was surprised that he spoke very good English. There, 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 and there. A building both symmetrical and asymmetrical. Do you understand? Quite unusual. The appearance from the outside is that of a continuous ribbon of windows. A panoramic strip of